Like, so you go into your little office, you fire up a computer, and you earn a year's salary in a month. How is that possible?
Magic.
Magic, wizardry. I'm sure there's a few people thought I was scamming or stealing something.
Hey everybody, it's John Lamilton here alongside my good friend and business partner, Mr. Jason Brockman. We are here for another episode of the Ambitious Lifestyle Business Podcast, where as always, it is our job to help you get more customers and make more money without just working harder. So without further ado, let's dive straight into this month's episode.
Hey everybody, welcome to the summer special of the ALB podcast, and it's a very special summer special this year. It kind of dawned on me when we were planning this that August 2020 is exactly 20 years since August 2000, and August 2000 is when I started my very first business. So 20 years in business, 2 decades. I thought what we'd do is have a bit like, you know, in Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol.
Is your life?
Yeah, not so. I don't think half of our audience would know This Is Your Life, would they?
Hopefully.
Okay. Leave a comment below if you do, and show us your age by saying Eamon Andrews or Michael Aspel. That'll tell us everything we need to know about our audience.
Paul O'Grady. You didn't do it.
No. But no, I'm thinking more Charles Dickens. This is more kind of like, you know, the ghost of business past. We're going to take a little trip down memory lane and look at what we've done over the last 20 years, but also what we've learned, some of the mistakes we've made, and some of the key takeaways that you can benefit from the stuff that I did 20 years ago. So let's fire up the DeLorean. We really are mixing our metaphors tonight, aren't we? Let's get Charles Dickens, Back to the Future, and Eamon Andrews in the same room. Introduction. Well. So let's go right back, shall we, to August 2000. It just still seems weird to say 2000.
August 2000.
Yeah, 2000. So we had survived the millennium bug. Y2K was not a problem, it turned out in the end. The planes didn't fall out of the sky. The ATMs didn't start spewing out free cash for everybody, and all of our computers still worked. I was happy in my comfort zone. I was working as a civil servant, just bought my first house, getting married next year. It was all brilliant. And then something happened. I was moved to a different department in the civil service. Absolutely hated my new job, my new role, and suddenly found myself in a job where the average lifespan of an employee was 2 years. Previously, I think I'd come from a section where the previous role's lifetime was a lifetime. Literally nobody ever left. And I decided within the first 2 weeks of being there that I wanted out. This was not for me. So started applying for other jobs, looking at, you know, where leaving the civil service completely, whether I could work in the private sector, whether I could get another role within the civil service. And one other thing I looked at was, well, could I start my own business? And I remember the press at the time was full of all these young 20-something .com millionaires. And the ones I really remember were Brent Hoberman and Martha Lane Fox. They were the British .com millionaire poster child. It was lastminute.com was their website. And the press was just, the press loved them. They were like the little darlings. They were like, oh yeah, these British kids that are making millions by having a website on the internet. And I thought, do you know what? I could do that. I fancy having it. I'm 20 something. You know, so I thought, well, do you know what? I'm going to do this. So I've decided to launch my internet marketing business.
I've heard the little story, but there were 3 little challenges you had to overcome, wasn't there?
There is a little story there I might have told once or twice. The 3 problems to me launching my internet marketing business. Number 1, obviously, I'd never run a business before. I knew nothing about running a business. Number two, I knew nothing about marketing. I was a civil servant. I knew absolutely nothing about marketing. Number three, I didn't even own a computer, let alone have access to the internet. So a little bit of a problem there, but I got over it. I borrowed my girlfriend's computer, turned into my wife eventually, and I just got on the dial-up. Yes, dial-up internet, kids. Don't know if you remember that. We used to have pay-as-you-go dial-up from FreeServe. And there are people listening to this podcast now who don't understand the three things I just said in that sentence: pay-as-you-go internet, dial-up, and FreeServe. What are these things?
It came on a CD, which most computers don't even have a CD drive anymore.
So I fired up Alta Vista on my Lycos browser. No, I would have used Internet Explorer back then because it was the only option.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up kind of teaching myself how to get on the internet, how to learn about marketing, and how to run a business. I had to find that education, and that's where I think the 5 magic ingredients that I've talked about in Big Ideas, that's where that first came into play, because I had the goal that I truly, truly desired more than anything else in the world. I wanted to leave my job. I had to get out of there. So the desire was very strong. The goal was very clear. I had the clarity there. I knew that I knew nothing. So I read, I learned. I got myself a mentor. That was crucial at the very, very start, getting myself a mentor who was one step ahead of me. Mm-hmm. I created the right environment for success. So my spare bedroom became an office. I established my kind of working on the business routines around the day job. And probably most crucially, I took action. I took a lot of action, which you may describe as hustle, perhaps.
You hustle?
Yeah, well, yes, maybe a little bit. I mean, let me put a little caveat on it. I did maybe hustle a little bit when I was young, when I was full of energy, and when I had nothing else to bring to the table but hard work and graft and elbow grease. I knew nothing. So all I could do was try harder than everyone else. That's all I had to bring to the table. I think
it had to be really difficult as well, because you're talking about pre-Google, so you couldn't just Google how to do what it is you wanted to do. You couldn't go and watch YouTube because there were no YouTube videos about how you could put these things together that you wanted to do. There was no YouTube. So that's an incredibly hard barrier to kind of ram your way through and to learn, isn't it? So I guess really for you, more than anywhere else, the mentor who's kind of been there and done that, it was particularly important because they had some kind of blueprint which you could kind of follow.
It was. I mean, learning for me was going to WH Smith's and buying Internet Marketing for Dummies. That was kind of my learning. But actually, the real education came from the mentors. So it was Clark, who obviously is now one of our 1%ers, and it was Jason, not yourself, but Jason Dale. And these guys had been running online businesses for, I think, 3 or 5 years before I'd even started. So these guys were up and running. They're earning a living. They're doing what I want to do. Mm-hmm. So they are just a couple of years ahead of me on the path. And I was able to tap into these guys' knowledge and say, well, I've just read this on Internet Marketing for Dummies. Apparently I need to do X, Y, and Z. And they would just go, no, don't waste your time with that. That's a complete waste of time. What you do want to do is F, P, and V. Don't even know what that stands for, but there it is. But I think one of the key takeaways also from that period is that there's no such thing as a safe, secure job for life, because that's what I joined the civil service for, was a safe, secure job for life. And then within a week in 2000, the rug was whipped out from underneath me, and the job I loved, and I was, as I said, very happily sat in my comfort zone. And if that hadn't have happened 20 years later, I would actually this week be celebrating my 25th anniversary in that job.
Go watch and everything, yeah?
Probably would have had a good watch, yeah. Might have even had a promotion or two. You never know. So let's go forward a little bit to 2001. So just a year later, so I'm still in the day job here. And I've earned my first check. And again, I've talked about this before. £13.51 was that check. It was from Affiliate Window, a company that's still trading today. I don't think they send checks out anymore.
Probably not £13.51.
I will apologise once again to all the millennials who are listening to this podcast and thinking, what are they talking about? This language of checks and dial-up and free serve and Alta Vista, we're just making stuff up, aren't we? But that check, £13.51, that was 9 months' work and 9 months hustle. That was 9 months of working probably 4 hours a day on top of the day job, plus all weekend. Yes, I certainly hustled. But I went part-time at day job. That was about 5 months after I had that check. So I've got this check, £13.51 for 9 months work. 5 months after that, I'm actually earning enough to drop a couple of days at the day job. And then all of a sudden that compounded further, and that gave me more time to work on the business, which enabled me to earn more money, which enabled me to 4 months later quit the day job. And what I think I did there was, or the key takeaway from that is, I proved the model first. I see so many people now, they come to me and they say, I've got this idea for a business. I'm going to run this, I'm going to sell this product. And I go, okay, cool. Sell some first. Before you burn your bridges and, quit your day job or spend
mortgage the house, capitalize on your credit card, go all in.
Before you spend $5,000 on Facebook ads, how about you spend £5 a day on Facebook ads and see if it sells? Because I'll tell you what, if it doesn't sell, then shut the thing down. The business that I left the day job for at the end of 2001 was not the same business I launched in August 2000. It was a completely different business. It evolved over those kind of 15, 16, 17 months to become the business it needed to be. So it started off, and you said about, obviously I couldn't Google what I needed to learn. Well, I did Alta Vista it. I did Lycos it. No, I'll tell you what works. I asked Jeeves.
Oh, Jeeves. Wowzers.
So I asked Jeeves, how do you make money online? Yeah, you can imagine the results I got from that, which is why my first website was full of get paid to surf, get paid to read emails, get paid to click on adverts, get paid to do this. It was loads of crappy, spammy MLM style stuff. It was horrible. And it didn't really work. It earned me a little bit of money. I mean, a tiny, like a couple of dollars for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of work. But I had to do that. I had to do what didn't work in order to find the stuff that did work and then do more of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And interesting, because actually you could say, I tried this internet marketing thing. I've earned nothing at it. I've put all these hours into it. That's it. It doesn't work. But you kind of didn't. You looked at actually why isn't working, and then test something else. And then that works with it. Well, we'll test a bit more of that, and we can do this, and then actually move that. And actually you end up with that different product because you kept reiterating it does work, because there's lots of people out there doing it. I've got a couple of mentors who are proving that it does work. So I know it's not what the thing I'm trying to do. It's just how I'm doing it. So it's a case of actually reiterating that and changing that into something different. And actually, I found something that's working now. I'm going to do a bit more of that.
Exactly. Yeah, I launched it and thought, it needs to be get paid to serve, get paid to click on emails, get paid to do this. And it was only when I went to Clark and Jason and said, that's what I'm doing. Like, oh God, no, you don't want to do that. What you want to do is you want to join up with this affiliate network here. What's an affiliate network? Oh, let me explain. It's one of these, and you sign it. Oh, look, there's this forum here, and there's other people who can help you here. Oh my God, there's a community. There's a group of people who want to help me and want to help each other. And we all learned together, and it was just a real community of people who are all there to help each other and to all learn together. But yeah, I had to prove that model first before scaling up, burning the bridges. I think, what did I say in one of my books? Wheel spinning out of the civil service car park with "You're Not the Boss of Me Now" by They Might Be Giants blasting out of my 1993 Vauxhall Cavalier with my website plastered on the side of it. That's what I didn't say. I used to have this magnetic sign.
Was it that first King one?
It was no. I think actually it might have been. Yeah, King John was my first website. kingjohn.co.uk. Don't own that anymore.
Had that down the side of your car.
It might have been that. It was either that or it was one of the bug ones.
Okay.
It might have been Freebie Bug or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, I remember having these magnetic signs. And if I think forward now to what I know about marketing and market message media, oh my God, that was awful. Just having this crappy, who's going to buy something from this crappy, beaten up 1993 Vauxhall Cavalier where the wheel arches are rusted away? And it's just a horrible piece of marketing, just going out to completely nobody. But I did have to make sure that obviously I proved the model first. I capped the downside. So I made sure that all my bills were covered. I wasn't going to lose the house. I was still going to be able to pay the mortgage before quitting the day job. So I went part-time first, made sure that, okay, I only need to earn, £300 a month as a result of dropping these couple of days. The business was earning £500 a month. Well, good. I've got a little buffer there. Then, right, if I'm going to quit completely, that's a bit more final. But I need to earn, let's say £1,000 a month, and the business is earning £1,500. Good. Obviously, what happened beyond that was that enabling me to work full time and actually focus on growing the business means that it wasn't earning £1,000 a month. It wasn't earning £1,500 a month. Before you know it, let's go forward to like 2003. I found myself earning more in a month than I was in a year of working as a civil servant at doing a job I hated. And I was doing that from my tiny little bedroom office, all on my own, just sat there with a computer and an internet connection, and people still didn't understand, probably still to this day don't understand how I did that. They're like, so you go into your little office, you fire up a computer and you earn a year's salary in a month. How is that possible?
Magic.
Magic, wizardry. I'm sure there's a few people thought I was scamming or stealing something.
Internet porn baron.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God, the domains and the stuff we could have controlled internet porn if we'd known. I say hindsight is a wonderful thing. The domains and stuff I would have bought back in 2003. Anyway, but 2003, that was the time that I actually had my first hire. So we're already 3 years into running the business now, and it's taken 3 years to go from me doing nothing but get paid to click on spammy adverts, up to leaving the day job, up to making a shed load of money. And then I think, oh, right, well, now that I'm making all this money, now it's time. So I think, one of the things that it took me too long to actually make that fast hire. And it does for everybody. We see it with a lot of people that are newish to business, that everybody waits too long to get help. I did 2003, 3 years into my business. I've been full time, I think, because you were my first hire, weren't you?
I was.
April 1st, 2003. Not an April Fool's joke, despite all the constant reminders. But I could have. I needed help probably a year earlier. Probably, either Easter or summer 2002 was when I needed help. I waited until I was already past that point of needing help. And I know, thinking back now, even though it's 17 years ago, I can tell you why I waited so long. And I can tell you why everyone else waits too long, because they're afraid. They're afraid they're going to get it wrong. They're afraid that they're going to make a bad hire. They're afraid that no one else can do it better than them. They're afraid they can't afford it. And
I thought you were just waiting for me.
No, but I think it's, and again, I mean, I've said before that the way I hired you was completely wrong, and I would never ever advise anybody to do that, because the way I hired you was, I think Emma just said, "Oh, Jason's not very happy with his work," and I went, "Oh, does he want to come and work for me?" That was my hiring process. I didn't because we didn't even know each other. I think we might have met once or twice, but we didn't really know each other then. And I didn't say to Emma, "What's Jason's skills? What's Jason good at? Where's Jason worked at for?" I just went, "Oh, Jason's a person and he needs a job. I've got a job and I need a person. Hooray!" And I see
that's how magic happens.
But I think what's the line I used in the book? I got away with it, because most people don't get away with it. And we did kind of continue that policy of, "Oh, you're a person and I've got a role, and you're a person looking for a role. I've got a role looking for a person." Brilliant. And that didn't work out for employees number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9.
We should have been into internet dating, I think, with Match.com or something like that, and just to work out that actually that first person, they need a date, you need a date. You're all sorted. It doesn't always last happily ever after, does it? It happens sometimes, but not every time.
It's what was missing there was the knowledge of how to hire. Again, there were no online recruitment marketplaces back then. How did we hire when we first started hiring it was late 2003 we hired Ryan, wasn't it? How did we hire him?
I don't know. How did we hire him?
It was a job centre, wasn't it?
Job centre advert, yeah.
Again, I've come from the civil service. I used to work at the job centre. If you want a job, you go to the job centre. Mm-hmm. I'm very sorry, millennials, but there's this place called the job centre where you used to go to get jobs, not just to get your universal credit or whatever. and that was how you got a job. And it was a very different place. And I didn't know how to hire. I just needed someone to sit in that chair, or not sit in that chair, because that's my chair, because I work from my little bedroom office. I need someone to sit on their own chair at their own house and just do some of the stuff that I didn't want to do. And that was my only thinking. At no point did I think strategically about, we've talked about Michael Gerber's book, The E-Myth, about having the organizational chart. I didn't have an organizational chart. I just did everything. And I needed somebody else to do some of the stuff, because I was a bit burnt out from doing everything. And I think a mindset block that people tend to have when making that first hire is they don't think that hiring someone to do the £10 an hour jobs can actually free you up as the business owner to do the kind of the £100 an hour jobs, the stuff that brings in all the money. It's like, because I mean, when I first hired you, I didn't hire you to be my business partner and fellow director and grow all the business. I hired you to do like customer support and update the listings on the freebie website. Yeah. Which meant, great, I can launch this new pay-per-click business. Google Ads obviously just launched in the UK, and it was like, well, I'm making 10 grand a month, 15 grand a month here. Mm-hmm. Why am I updating this website myself and answering people's emails? It's like, I can pay someone to do that, and therefore that hour that I'm not answering someone's emails, I can be putting pay-per-click campaigns up and earning thousands. And it's like, well, that's a bit of a no-brainer. But I see it all the time with business owners where they think, I need to make this hire. I'm really busy. And I say, okay, hire it, get a VA, get someone in, get someone to do the admin, get someone to do, and it is normally the call it the £10 an hour jobs, but it's the stuff that you can pay someone £10, £20 an hour. I've got to do my own books. No, you haven't. I don't care if it costs you £25 an hour. You can get a bookkeeper to do your books for you. And crucially, you then need to take that hour that you've employed someone to do it. And rather than sitting there on the sofa going, oh, great, I'm paying someone to do my bookkeeping for me, take that hour and do the £100 an hour jobs, the £1,000 an hour jobs, rewrite the website, put up the new pay-per-click campaign, do go sell a consultancy service, do whatever you need to do to actually earn the money that you need to carry forward.
Mm-hmm. And I think the other thing, just while we're talking about hires and stuff, is that you're not hiring that person for the year, are you? You're not, if you're going to pay somebody 15, 20 grand a year, then actually you're not hiring them. You're not spending 20 grand today. That's not what you're doing. You're spending £1,500 a month each and every month. So you kind of like that risk that you kind of that first take on. It isn't really that 20 grand. It's the £1,500, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think those maths worked out, but you know what I'm saying.
I know what you mean. Yeah. Yeah. And also I think, again, one of the things I said, I waited too long, and I think everybody waits too long. The longer you wait, the busier you become, and the more you need someone. And you then have the objection of, I haven't got time to hire someone and train someone. And the reason you haven't got time to hire someone and train someone is because you should have done it bloody 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. If ghost of business past here, if I am the ghost walking 2003 John down the road, it's like, go back to 2002 and make a hire earlier. I don't know if you were available then. I know
Probably was,
We probably could have had a discussion, couldn't we?
We could have had a discussion. Yeah. You might have thought about it then, and then I might not have had it. So actually, mate, fate is a wonderful thing.
God, think where we could be now. Oh dear. So 2004, and this is really where things accelerated. So yeah, 2002, I should have hired my first employee, and I didn't. In 2003, I finally bit the bullet, and I got my first employee, and I think my second. I think Ryan came in at the end of 2003, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
2004, we went to the job centre, and we went a bit crazy, and we hired employee number 3, and 4, and 5, and I think all the way up to 15.
Not in the same outing, mate. Four in the same outing.
Yeah. How many rows did we have?
One job.
One. Yeah, we were hiring for one person, and we walked away with 4.
We did interview 6 though, so it could have been worse.
Yeah. And that was the problem, is we went there and they all had nice CVs, and they were all qualified, and they were all nice people. So we gave them all a job, and we opened up 2 offices, not one. Mm-hmm. We wanted one, but we had to wait for that one to become available. So we ended up taking the temporary office in the meanwhile, and then we somehow ended up, I think, what happened here is I went a bit mad, and I got a bit carried away with my own hype, I think.
Well, we were successful at the time. We were, the income was supporting everything that we did. All of the things we did was supported by the income. That was the thing. Yeah. Like you said, the Google Ads was working out really well. Our search engine stuff, so the sites were well ranked, and so we were getting lots of traffic, therefore earning lots of money. And actually, that side of things was working out well.
Mm. Oh, it was because Google had really taken off at this point, and we knew how to work Google. We could pretty much choose whatever search term we wanted. Nothing really competitive, credit cards, loans, mortgages. No, but niche, not niche Americans. Niche terms, we could pretty much choose what we wanted to rank for on Monday, create a crappy looking website, and by Tuesday evening or Wednesday lunchtime at the latest, we'd be number 1 on Google earning money. So that was the hype that I believe that what is now obviously the world's largest search engine, which at the time was certainly getting a lot of traction. Mm-hmm. So what was becoming the world's most popular search engine, we could pretty much choose how much traffic we got from that search engine for what terms we got it for, and sell that traffic for more than it cost us. And it was just easy. It was really easy. And we didn't know at the time how easy it was. We just thought, this isn't easy.
No, we'd have about 100 staff. We'd about 100 staff doing it if we would know how easy it was.
I think that was the problem. That was my mentality was, well, all right, if I can earn, let's say, 15 grand a month by myself, sat in my bedroom office, having known nothing about marketing and not even owning a computer 2 years ago, then multiply that by 15 people and we should be earning 6 figures a month. And we would then fly up to London. We'd stay in 5-star hotels in London, and we'd jump in a limo. Remember the limo club?
The limo club.
And we'd traipse around London, or traipse around. We'd be driven around London in style. And I remember going to this particular company. I think the company's no longer trading. But I remember going to this company's offices near Brick Lane. And this guy, what's it called? I want to say Ramit or something like that. And he was your typical Jack the Lad guy, very, very sharp suit. And I remember him sitting down with us saying, if you're not making $100,000 a month, you're nothing to me. And I just remember coming out of that meeting feeling that that's what we should be doing. Mm-hmm. Not that that's what I wanted, but I feel that that's what we should be doing, because we are young 20-something-year-olds on the internet. We should be .com millionaires, just like Martha Lane Fox and Brent Hoberman. And now this guy's reaffirming that by saying that we should be earning $100,000 a month. And if we're not earning $100,000 a month, we're not trying. Because he was pointing and saying, this guy's earning it, this guy's doing it, this guy's doing it. And again, our community was full of people who were earning 6 figures a month quite easily, quite happily, but they were lucky. They were in the right place at the right time. And very few of them are still earning anywhere near that sort of money. A couple of them no longer have a business. They work for other people. It was just of the moment. And I heard this line years ago that your ego is your biggest overhead. And for us, it was, because my ego of, well, I know I'm the next Alan Sugar here. I am Brent Hoberman. I am this .com millionaire, and I'm just going to jet all over the world. I'm going to stay in the best hotels in the world, and I'm going to have these lovely, amazing holidays, and we're going to have cars and houses. And, I remember on my desktop having this massive country house that I was going to buy. And that's what I wanted. But that ego led to, well, in order to do that, I need 15 members of staff. I need 2 offices. I need this expensive consultant. I need this contract over here. And when we started losing money, all of a sudden I realized that, well, I would actually still be earning pretty good money if it was just me sat in my bedroom. But it's not me sat in my bedroom. It's me sat in my bedroom with $30,000 a month of expenses going out before we've even opened the doors. I think another one of the takeaways going back to that time is you can't immediately go from being a jack of all trades, master of none, do everything yourself, one-man band person, to being a leader of 15 people without changing. That's exactly what I tried to do. I just thought, well, I literally just thought it was replication. It was like, well, I can do it. So if I can do it, me times 15, let's say they're not as good as me, because obviously no one's as good as me. But let's say, me times 15 should equal 7 or 8 times the revenue. And, there's obviously some expenses involved there. But it turned out that actually we were employing people who, my output was I'd sit there and I'd put a pay-per-click campaign together over, let's say half a day. Half a day I'd put together a pay-per-click campaign which would deliver £1,000 a month of profit. And then I'd employ someone, and I'd employ them, and I'd pay them for half a day to sit there and watch A Bug's Life. And you know who I'm talking about there when I say that, because, well, actually, go on. You can tell the Bug's Life story.
Well, we had one website, didn't we? It was a bug-related website. It was about, was it Prize Bug? I think was the...
Yeah, Prize Bug.
I mean, you have Freebie Bug was the original guy, I think, but Prize Bug is really kind of what we did. So it was a competition site, wasn't it? So, and we kind of figured that we could grow that brand of bug sites into different sites as well as the prize one, wasn't it? And so she decided to watch Bug's Life to get some feedback as to the kind of characters that could come to life on our website and stuff.
Yeah.
And all these designy things, which, characters and things which we needed.
Exactly. So days and days, and we'd have, they would just sit on Messenger the whole day, and it was just very unproductive because we just hired people. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're a person. You can sit in the desk. You can do a job. Great. There's your computer. There's your desk. Off you go. Go do what I do. Or go, no, not necessarily do what I do, but go build me websites. Mm-hmm. Okay, you want a website? Right, okay. We need a logo. Okay, let me get inspiration for this logo, and let me spend 3 days watching and rewatching A Bug's Life so I can see what bugs look like, to be inspired to come up with a logo, rather than just going, I'm going to go on Fiverr.com and buy one to begin with, or I'm going to go on 99designs.com and buy one to begin with. Mm-hmm. If we go forward now, kind of 2005, we continued to lose money. And this was a very tough time, certainly for me in general, because I got very, very stressed in 2005. And it got to the point where I hated the business almost as much as I hated my day job back in 2000. And yet this was the business that I created. So it's my fault. It's the civil service. I can blame completely on the civil service and say, well, that was nothing to do with me. I was in a job I loved, and they took it away from me, and they put me in this job here that I didn't like. But the business, I created that. After 5 years, you can't really say it's anybody's fault but mine, because I hired those 15 people. I signed the contracts on the offices. I signed all the contracts on all the deals. I bought all the domain names. I'm the person who said, I'm going to take this from being me in my bedroom earning really good money doing something I love, to me trying to be bloody Richard Branson or Alan Sugar or whatever. And it exploded in my face, and I just gone, I can't deal with this anymore. So I actually walked away, literally walked away, announcing my retirement, aged 27, I believe I was. And I actually handed over 49% of the business to yourself and Mark, who was our business development manager at the time. And to go from, being really fired up and this is fantastic, to I'm walking away, here's almost half the business, again, took 18 months? Probably 2 years. No, actually, probably 18 months from when we hired the third employee to me walking away was about 18 months.
Yeah.
And 18 months of choices made by me. Every single one. It's like an episode of Breaking Bad, where just when you think things can't get any worse, they make one more decision, which goes completely the
roll
wrong
the
way.
dice. You're going to get these double sixes right now. You're going to get it.
And it's a line that I used in a masterclass we did for 1%ers just now, which is, good news, you are the boss. Bad news is you're the boss. It's everything falls on your shoulders. When things are going great, fantastic, you get to take all the credit. You get to jet all over the world. You get to stay in the 5-star hotels. You get to be wined and dined by businesses who tell you how wonderful you are and how they think that you should be earning 6 figures a month, and you believe your own hype. Bad news when you owe that money and you've got a company that wants to charge you £57,000 or £59,000 for repairs to the office that you've been in for 6 months and you've done no damage to. Well, bad news, you're the boss. It's you that gets the phone call. It's you that gets the letter when the staff say that they've got a problem because so-and-so has been sleeping with their girlfriend and the fridge doesn't work and the toilet needs cleaning. You get the phone call. And it was just stuff like this, and it is stuff like that sticks with me now. 15 years later, I still remember the phone calls about blocked toilets and broken fridges and colleagues sleeping with colleagues. And that's why I hated it.
Civil service, didn't it? That's the trouble.
Well, the civil service, we had like a HR department to deal with that sort of stuff. But all of a sudden, I'm the HR department. No, this isn't what I'm the entrepreneur. I'm Richard Branson. I'm Alan Sugar. I'm not the HR department. And it turns out, yeah, if I had my Michael Gerber organizational chart and I looked at HR, oh, fucking hell, it's my name there. There's this Felix Dennis quote that I used. I think where I used that. I used it in the 1% group the other day. Someone was asking about shares, and I said, in this quote, it says, never, I can't remember how many nevers are here. Never, 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 never hand over a single share of anything you have acquired or created if you can help it. Nothing, just in case you didn't get the never quote before. Nothing, not one share to no one, no matter what the reason, unless you genuinely have to. Where were you, Felix, when I needed you back in 2005? And I just went, here you go, have half my business. I'm off. I can't do it. Have you ever seen that meme where someone goes, it looks like it's fuck this shit o'clock, and they just throw all their papers in the air? That was me in 2005. It was just like, you guys deal with this. I'm out of here. That was such an expensive lesson in hindsight. Obviously, Mark left the business, ended up having Mark as a silent partner for several years, negotiating to buy back the shares. We're now partners as well, but it's such an expensive lesson to learn purely because of the stuff that I'd created over those previous 18 months, which for 2020 me to look back at that and say, why didn't you just sack everyone, shut down the offices, and go back to working from your bedroom like you used to? Why did you need, so this isn't working. So my answer was, I'm going to walk away and you guys keep on doing what you're doing. And we're going to keep the 30 grand a month overheads, because I'm sure it's going to come good, because my strategy can't be wrong. So you keep on working the strategy, because it used to work back when Google liked us and we knew how to rank for anything. That worked. And back when we could do pay-per-click for gambling stuff, that worked. But it didn't. Cool. So 2006, I'm out the business now. I've walked away, and the business has continued to lose money. I wonder why that is. Maybe because we've still got 2 offices. We've still got the number of staff dwindled. We didn't sack anybody, I don't think. They just left because it was a horrible place to work. And one by one, they all went, I can't stick this anymore. And of course,
Not sleeping with her anymore. I'm not doing that. I'm not playing football. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. That's it.
And of course, the best people left first. So we were left with the worst people. And of course, even though I'm not in the business, I'm still checking the bank account twice a day. I'm still getting updates. I'm still going into the office, because we used to meet up every Friday and go to the pub. And it was like, I'm still seeing what's going on and hearing what's going on and looking at the numbers and thinking, this isn't working. And even though I'm not in the business, I'm still getting more stressed than I was when I was in the business. My health suffered so much at this time. I look back at photos of me from 2006, and the ones I've used in the book, I think, is just about 2006, and it's me at my fattest. I am just piled on the weight. I remember I was under investigation at the hospital for some rashes. My body was just coming out all these rashes. I didn't understand what the hell was going on. And I remember having a hospital appointment with some dermatologist, and she's sat there. She's got this massive magnifying glass. It was right on my chin, right down here. And she's got this magnifying glass on my chin, and she's huge light shining at it. And she's looking at it, and she says, "Yeah, are you under any stress or anything at work?" And I started downloaded just a bit. Let me tell you about it. So we've got this bill coming in, we've got that bill coming in, and I don't know how we're going to do this. And she's like, yeah, I just wanted to do that. And she literally just stopped me. It was like, I didn't want to actually hear what your problems were. I just wanted simple yes or no would have done. And it turned out that, yes, I was under a lot of stress. That was it, really. I was taking sleeping pills to get to sleep every night. Diet consisted of takeaways and ready meals and alcohol to also help me sleep. Alcohol, sleeping pills, brilliant combination. Thoroughly recommend it to anybody looking to ruin their life. And I remember things coming to a head. It was again, this was August, wasn't it? August 2006. Mark came to me and said, we've got enough money to either pay the VAT bill or the payroll, but not both. Which would you like me to pay? And I thought, okay, this might be the moment we actually need to do something here. So yeah, I ended up coming out of retirement and having to make half the team redundant in one day, which was a little bit tough, including half your family members. Which, yeah, that was tough. And actually, no, that was more than tough, because there was a reason that between that day in 2006 and, a spoiler alert, when we go forward to 2013, 7 years later, there is a reason that we didn't hire a single person between those periods. And it was because of what I had to do that day. Because for the period from late 2003 to mid 2005, my hiring policy was hire. Come on in, everybody. And as a result of my decisions there, I then had to tell like 6 people, you haven't got a job with immediate effect. You're gone. There's no money. Remember the famous note that, I can't remember who it was now, but somebody in the Treasury Department left a note after 2008 saying, sorry, there's no money left. I mean, that was it. Which literally, there's no money. We're out of money. There's nothing we can do. You haven't got a job. And having to make that, when I'm already at kind of that, my most stressed and my worst health, to then go, right, and now all you people who I really love and I've really enjoyed working with, and let's say half your family, it's like, yeah, I'm taking away all your jobs. I'm taking away your livelihood. Oh, great. Welcome back to work. Shut down both the offices, and obviously we then had, I think we just had yourself and Stu, wasn't it? I don't think we kept anyone else, did we? And we said, look, everyone's going to work from home. Mm-hmm. That's it. We're going back to, and it was back to what had worked before. And I know we mentioned Ryan earlier. We lost Ryan some point in 2005 when he suddenly realized that we weren't going to pay his tax bill. That was an interesting learning curve as well. But back in 2003, when it was me, you, and Ryan, things were golden, because you would work from, I think, a dining room table or somewhere. I'd work from my little bedroom. Ryan would work from his little bedsit, and we knocked stuff out, and we had very low overheads. We were very lean, and we got stuff done. And it was like, let's just go back to that. Only about 18 months, 2 years too late. We should have actually done that when we noticed that what we were doing before wasn't working.
We didn't have any review period. We didn't look at things. We didn't back on those things. It was actually, here's a plan. We're going to follow that plan. We're going to do it because it's been working, and it's all, and there was no time of like, actually, something's not quite working now. Actually, we need to look at what that looks like and how we can make that right. And we just didn't do those. We just kind of like head down and I wouldn't say quite in the sand, but not too far off. Just head down and just keep plodding on, and it will come good. And we always kind of felt.
Well, I think another crucial takeaway from this period, 2004 to kind of certainly up to 2012, didn't have a mentor. Didn't have anybody there going, what the hell are you doing, John? Why are you making these decisions? You've got, I mean, let's face it, we had a team of 15, 2 offices. And at one point we were trying to get Scottish Power this shows how ambitious we were, to get their telesales stuff handled by us. This little company down in Plymouth. And Mark and I, we flew up to Glasgow and we met with them, and it was all great. And we spent a load of money doing this, and then that fell through, and they went, no, we're not going to do it. And most people then would have gone, oh, okay, let's shut down the telesales office. Let's get rid of the telesales staff. No, we just went, well, we've got an office, we've got staff. What can we find for them to do? And it was just, but that was the mentality we had at the time, was we've got these people. Let's use them. We'll find something, because we know how to make money. We've got it all sussed. Turns out we didn't have it sus. We just tried stuff and it didn't work, and we tried more stuff and that didn't work, and we just kept on with the massive overheads for too long. So yeah, takeaways from that kind of, I mean, health is number one. That's got to be the main takeaway from that period, because without my health, I wasn't functioning anywhere near effective in any of the decisions I was making that affected everybody's livelihoods. It all comes from me having bad health. Yeah, if I'm having a load of booze, if I'm watching a takeaway down with booze and then taking sleeping pills to get to sleep, and then the next morning getting up and making a decision which is going to impact your livelihood and whether you've got a job next year, that's probably not the person you want making those decisions, is it? Sometimes you have to make those difficult decisions. The sooner you can make them, the better, because then you have short-term pain as opposed to long-term pain. And yeah, the reason I ended up getting sick and ill and, keeping all these far too many people on far too longer than we did, and far too many offices and overheads longer than we did, was because I didn't want to admit defeat. There was a little bit of willy waving going on in the community. There were lots of people making very, very good money, big £1 million a year businesses, all showing off, and everyone should be doing the same. And when we weren't, it reflected badly. So it was like, well, we've got 2 offices, we've got 15 members of staff. Yeah, we're not making any money, but another takeaway: when you need to cut deep. Nothing kills morale faster than a second wave of redundancies. I remember reading that at the time, and I think that's one thing we did well. It's one thing we did right then, because I could have, on that day in August, probably kept another couple of people. But then if we'd done that, then it's possible that 3 months later I would have gone and had to go back to the staff and say, oops, sorry, actually need to lose another one. And the minute you do that, even if everyone else's job is safe, everyone else is going to think, well, he did it in August, he did it again in December, there's probably more coming. Doing it once and doing it as a final one was, I think, the right thing to do.
And from your point of view as well, that's just one bit of badness that you have to do. It was admittedly it was a big bit, but actually, if you put it off for another couple of months and then you had to do it again, there's another bit of badness, and then if you did it, there's another bit of badness. But actually, just doing it at once, not quite the, you were talking about cutting people, I'm talking about removing plasters, but it's just it is that once, isn't it? Which is much better for you.
Yeah, it is. Again, because you haven't got that stigma of, if I do it once, then I say, look, this is what needs to happen. And for you and Stu, I can absolutely assure you, you're going to have a job 6 months from now. We are going to have enough cash flow to get through this. It's like, what's happened with Corona this year. One of the first things we needed to do was reassure our staff that they were going to have a job, that they have got stability, they have got security there. If we needed to cut, if we needed to furlough people, it's best that we say, right, we are furloughing, this is happening. And when it's done, and that's it, guys, everyone else who's still here, everyone else who's not been furloughed, you've got clarity, you have got a job, your job is absolutely safe. Where I've seen a couple of businesses this year do this is they've furloughed not enough people. They've cut a little bit, they've furloughed a little bit, and then they've come back a month later and furloughed some more people. Now, even if the remaining staff that haven't been furloughed, even if their jobs are safe, they're just in their mind, they're going to be thinking, well, they furloughed Tracy in March and David in April. They're probably going to do another round of furloughs. I'm sure they will. I've been a civil servant. I know the bloody knitting circle that talks that's there, So 2007, we sold our first business, didn't we? We sold Net Free Stuff.
We did. Our little baby, the one that we'd nurtured for such a long period of time, the one that I came to you to work on. Yeah. And it was, quite a sad moment, really.
It was a sad moment. I think the key takeaway from that period was that there is a page, if you open up your account, there's a page that says balance sheet, and you can make money from the value of your business as well as the profit and loss. It's not all about the profit and loss. I am more of a P&L thinker. The fact that I've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad and Cash Flow Quadrant so many times, it just leads to me being a P&L thinker. But there is a value in your business as well. So you've got the money your business makes, but there is a value there that someone will pay you money if you operate and set up your business correctly for it. Now, again, we talked a little bit already in this podcast about timing. We sold far too late.
And because of need.
And because of what, sorry?
And because of need. We weren't in the selling market. We were in the someone needs to take this off our hands kind of market. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Well, it was very similar to me walking away with the shares. We had someone come to us and say, would you be interested in selling? We originally said no, and then went, oh, do you know what? Because I remember we met up at the pub, didn't we? We were like, no, I've turned down the offer. And then we had a few pints and went, well, actually, I'm a bit fed up of running this business. We could actually have a fresh start. What could we do? Oh, we could do this. Well, what if we had the money, we could do X, Y, and Z. Oh, yeah. And it ended up being, well, do you know what? I'm fed up of running this business. I've been running this business for 7 years now. I fancy doing something else. I'm fed up of being pigeonholed, because we were pigeonholed a little bit with that business. So we ended up taking the offer. We actually sold for less than half of an offer we had. So I had an offer in 2004 of £250,000, and I turned that down because I thought, you're taking the mick. My business is going to be worth £1 million in a year's time or something like that. I think I previously talked about ego being the biggest overhead, and my ego, I could have walked away with £250,000 cash in 2004 and then reinvested that in the pay-per-click business and gone mental. But then you give 2004 me £250,000. What am I going to do? I'm not going to hire 15 people. I'm going to hire 150 people. I'm going to take on the lease from somewhere in Canary Wharf, probably buy myself a private jet. You're going to see me go bankrupt in 2005. So that was ultimately the right thing. So the next couple of years, we tried to replace the income from net free stuff. We tried a lot of stuff that didn't work. We started buying a lot of websites. We started developing sort of existing website businesses. We started doing stuff, private villa rentals, mobile phone insurance, live football streaming, breakdown cover.
Having the Algarve.
Yep, exactly. Holidays, package holidays to the Algarve. Yeah, we were selling everything, including this little horse racing tips website that I bought for 500 quid on eBay. Just kind of a bit like a property developer would buy fixer-uppers. And he'd fix them up, he'd repaint them, replaster them, put new carpets, put new doors on, and flip them for a profit. We'd buy websites, we'd improve them, we'd work on the conversion rates, we'd increase the lifetime value of any members, we'd do more marketing. Obviously, we still thought we knew exactly how Google worked, so we could make the Google traffic higher. And then we'd pretty much keep them forever. We just buy them for the increased cash flow. See previous comment about me being a P&L thinker. The average return on investment from one of these deals was 50%. So, if we did nothing with these websites other than just buy and hold, we'd earn our money back within 2 years and still own the asset. Fantastic investments. If we could improve things, even better. The best one we had was live football streaming website. Bought it for $10,000, so about $6,000, just over. And that site earned £500,000 over the next 3 years. Don't get me wrong, we also had websites that we bought for $20,000 that we killed, that earned nothing or next to nothing. Not saying anything about budgerigars. That was probably the worst one we did, I think. Where
from a drunken takeaway and bottles of wine moment.
I think it might well have been. It
Was that just
bought,
the first interaction with the group?
yeah, it was bought with a buddy. Bought from a buddy, and it's like, yeah, it's a great deal. Again, it was intended as a buy and hold. Bought it, thought, well, actually, I can improve things a little bit here. Introduced myself, pissed off all the members. Found out there was actually 2 factions within the budgerigars community. I thought it was like people like my nan who loved owning budgies and wanted to talk about it. Anyway, completely killed it. The other main thing that kind of happened here was Jack, my oldest son, was born. And I had my famous Alan Sugar moment where I've talked about in Big Ideas for Small Businesses, reading Alan Sugar's book, and this comment about, I never really saw my kids when they were growing up. And that was a real hammer to my heart. I was like, oh my God, that's not what I want. So I think takeaways from kind of these periods post-sale, compounding is the big one. Those investment deals we did, buying a website for 500 quid that we still own today that's earned us millions since then. Buying Algarve Villa website that earned 3 times its money back in 5 years. Live football, putting $10,000 in. Well, that $10,000 came from probably selling mobile phone insurance, and the mobile phone insurance came from selling football tips, and it all compounded on each other. I mean, we've done pretty far to get a decade into running the business without any reference to Warren Buffett and compounding. So we have been snowballing.
Well, haven't we? We've done really well.
We have done really well. I'm sure there'll be another one before the episode's out. Other thing, I think, learning the lesson from this period, because this was a good period where we earned a lot of money, and learning the lessons of what to do during the good times from last time out, rather than investing in new cars, fancy holidays, 5-star hotels, and overheads galore. I reinvested or compounded those profits into more proven profitable vehicles, and it just got better and better and better. This was also obviously the period where the ambitious lifestyle business was born. That's where the light bulb moment happened with Jack, and it suddenly became, I want a lifestyle business, but I still want the ambition. I still want to earn really good money. I still want to grow. I still want to develop as a person.
That's when you stopped listening to Peter Jones, wasn't it?
It was. Telling me lifestyle business is no good.
Yeah.
So everything was great.
Rosie again.
Yep. Nothing can possibly go wrong, can it? 2012. Not the film based on like the world collapsing, but the world did collapse for us in 2012 when Google rolled out their Panda and Penguin updates. So it turns out that all the success we'd had over the previous 4 years was not due to my genius, but it was actually due to me knowing how to game Google's algorithm, how to please Google, how to give Google what Google wanted. And in 2012, I think it was April 2012, they just moved the goalposts and went, nah, don't think so. So all those websites that we were number one for, we were suddenly on page 1,000 of the results. We were just killed. Literally, we lost all of our revenue streams for almost all of our businesses, except one. And it was that little horse racing tips website that we'd bought on eBay, because we'd kind of created a little community around it. They went to the website every day. They typed in the domain name into their browser or into Google. We created a mailing list. We had maybe 14,000 people on that mailing list. So we were still getting some traffic there. And with this business, we'd been quietly snowballing every penny that it made for a couple of years. So first 18 months, we didn't take any money out at all. Then as it got better, we invested in a logo. We didn't invest in a logo where we paid someone for several days to watch Disney films and then, work on it from there. We actually got a proper logo designer to design a logo. We got a better theme. We invested in PR. We invested in proper copywriting. We invested in better CRM system. And that little £500 website was now earning about 75 grand a year. So going forward, well, that's our best chance of actually surviving this little, well, catastrophe that Google had put in our way. So I said, you know what, I'm going to focus on one thing. Again, talked about this a lot in Big Ideas, where prior to Panda and Penguin and everything, I was just doing everything for everything. So I'd be writing SEO content for the Algarve website. Then I'd be doing PR for the mobile phone blog. Then I'd be, I don't know, opening up the bonnet of WordPress and started doing some coding for the breakdown cover website. Then I'd be playing with logos for something else. Then I'd be doing Facebook ads for something else. It's like I was doing everything for all the brands. Proper, again, look at the org chart. Oh, look, there's John's name next to everything. And I think it was 2012 when it said, like, I'm going to focus on one thing for one business. And I'm going to do the marketing for the horse racing tips business. And that's it. So key takeaways from that. Well, two quotes, really. The first one is Tony Robbins, where your focus goes, energy flows. And that was a game changer for me. Focusing on the marketing for the horse racing tips business meant that I could devote the energy that needed. That was the one thing that was going to move the needle more than any of the other things we were doing. But I didn't have time to focus on it because I was too busy playing with logos or writing press releases or dealing with customer services or whatever. Second quote, when it comes to business, 1 is the worst number. That's a Dan Kennedy quote. And although we had all these different businesses, and you would say, oh, we're nicely diversified, all of those businesses had one revenue stream and one traffic source, which was Google SEO. And when that went away, so did our businesses, so did our model, so did our profitability, apart from the one business which had more than one revenue stream, more than one route to market.
We kind of owned it, didn't we? Which is the thing. We owned our list. We had our members. We had the thing. It was our asset.
Yeah, you can't take away that football.
No, that's it. That's mine. Don't touch it. I was going to say, this was the time we also, you particularly, started with mentors and things again, wasn't it?
Yeah. Again, I don't think that's a coincidence that when this time when the shit hits the fan, I don't immediately go, oh well, I've got the answer to this. I actually thought, do you know what? I need to find someone who's got the answer to this. So yeah, I mean, I think it was late 2012, early 2013. I think I started working with a mentor late 2012 and really, really doubled down on it in 2013. And I remember thinking, it's the first time in 10 years that I've worked with a mentor. And I thought, oh, I'll give it a go. I'll be honest with you, at the time, I still thought I knew it all. I thought, well, do you know what? I know all of this stuff. So I'm going to give it a go. I'll give it a few months. Hopefully we'll get like 20% growth or something like that. We'll get a bit better. I started learning again. I started reading. I've read more books. I would say I've read more books between 2013 and 2020 than I have between 1977 when I was born and 2013. Including all those, I don't know, what are they called? John and Jill? Or
Janet and John?
Janet and John, that's the one. Or Fluffy and Chip and Biff books that I read when I was a child. I suddenly remembered that I knew nothing again. And I got that beginner's mindset of, I wonder, a bit of curiosity, started learning again. We ended up in 2013 having our best year in 10 years. Yeah. So hang on. So I got a mentor for the first time in 10 years. And then we had our best year in 10 years. Yeah, that must be a coincidence. Anyway, proper like hockey stick growth. I think the mailing list grew by tens of thousands. The revenue quadrupled in that year. It doubled again like the following year rather. And as I alluded to earlier, we hired the first new employee we'd had since first new hire since 2005. So that was like 8 years without hiring anyone. And that was all down to having to make everybody redundant on that day in 2006. We'd had several opportunities to employ people, but I just remember saying, no, we don't employ people. That was my answer. We don't employ people. We worked with outsourced third parties. We had a few people who did some self-employed stuff for us, but in terms of actually working for us, no, we don't employ people. That's not.
Don't have an office, and we don't employ anyone. That's it.
Yep. Those are the rules. Those are the rules. And
And
if you think about it, at that point, 2013, that is now 7 years after having to make everybody redundant and shut down the offices. And I've been proven right, haven't I? Because it's worked, and we're still in business, and we're doing all right, and we're all happy. Why do we need to upset the apple cart by hiring anybody? No, we don't hire people.
And it did become into that, didn't it? It was quite a case. Actually, we don't need to because we've not needed to now. We don't need to. It's just we're not doing it. I'm not.
It is, and it turned out. I mean, the guy Joe that we hired, he literally begged for the job, a job that didn't exist. There was no job. You know, he'd started working with us on a self-employed basis, doing a little bit of work for us. And he loved the role. He loved the business. He loved working with us. And I think what else he was doing within his brother's business was kind of slipping away. And he said, like, I need something a bit more full time. I really, really want to work with you guys. And my default answer was, no, we don't employ people. Sorry, I'd love to work with you. You're a great guy, but we don't employ people. There is no job. He said, it must be. And it's like several times he kept coming back to me. And eventually I said to him, like, he was based in Norwich. I'm obviously based in Plymouth. And I said to him, right, this August, I'm traveling up to Birmingham. Plymouth Argyle playing Birmingham City in the Coca-Cola Cup or something at the time. It's 3 hours for me. It's roughly 3 hours for you from Norwich. Let's meet up in Birmingham. I'll take you to the football. You go at your own costs. You pay for your own train. If you want to stay overnight, you pay for your own hotel, whatever. I'll buy you a meal. I'll take you to the football. We'll have a chat. And within an hour of us sitting down in the Pizza Express in the Bull Ring at Birmingham, we'd thrashed out how we were going to pay for his job, how we were going to cover his wages. And I said very openly and very honestly to him, there isn't a job here. You're creating your own job. And if this doesn't work out, in 6 months' time, we might have to sack you and we might have to let you go or put you back to what you're doing now or something. But it's on that understanding. And it actually turned out he was a superstar. And by the November of that year, so we had this conversation in the Bull Ring in August, and by November, his wages were covered. He'd earned more than his wages were already. And he only started in September. He started on the day after my birthday, 25th of September. 6 weeks it took him to cover his wages. And beyond that, it was just more hockey stick growth. And it was just, he was a true A player. And it's suddenly, one of the key takeaways, I think, from this period for me was that not all employees are created equal. I think he was possibly the first A player we'd hired. Certainly when I think to most of the people we hired in 2004, 2005, they were certainly not A players, or we didn't give them the opportunity to be A players, whatever. Maybe they're A players elsewhere now, but for us, Joe was the first proper A player we'd had. And an A team player can have 10 times the impact of a B player and 100 times the impact of a C player, yet they might cost you like 20% more. It really did give us the leverage that we had. I mean, we ended up over the next couple of years hiring another couple of people. We then made sure that they were also A players. And it's like, oh, all of a sudden this is sort of compounding again. But you can't underestimate the power of a mentor. Would I have hired Joe if I hadn't have been mentored by someone who was telling me that hiring A players is a very good way to grow your business and to leverage your business? It's like, well, yeah, it probably is. You know, having someone who, again, someone who's been there before, trodden the path, that outside perspective, giving you the honest feedback on your performance, and someone to hold you accountable to obviously do what you say you're going to do, have that accountability. That's what made all the difference. So let's go, where are we now? 2016. And we designed the business to work without us. I think at this point we'd explored a potential exit. And we drove up to Newbury and we met with a lovely chap there, spent several hours there. And the minute he sat there and went, yeah, I reckon we can get you £2 million for this business. That was it. I was on the golf course. I was spending the money. I was like, yeah, I'm done with this business.
It's done.
And then it didn't happen. He then come back to us and said, well, yeah, I'm not convinced I can get all the buyers together. You know, I think it can be done, but it's not going to happen. So we really got our hopes up. We really thought we were going to do it. But what that did do, even though we didn't kind of properly exit then, it did lead us building the business to sell, i.e. to kind of work without us. And I think we had this moment where we realized that the business, our baby, was all grown up and didn't maybe need us quite so much anymore. So we kind of said, well, that's great, fantastic. We've achieved our objective. We've built the business to work without us. We're no longer required. Oh, we're no longer required. What do we do now? And I thought, actually, do you know what? By now, I wanted to pay it forward a little bit, because all the success that we've had has come from having those right mentors, helping show us the way, avoid the pitfalls, motivate us and hold us accountable. So the 1% Club was born around my kitchen table back in 2016. We had, I think it was 6 local business owners, all fairly new to business, weren't they?
Yeah.
And we'd meet up once a month. We'd educate them. We'd give them a book to read every month. We'd set them some homework. We'd act as their kind of virtual board of directors, holding them accountable to actually do what they say they're going to do, and to make sure that they stay on the right path to success, whatever obviously success looks like for them. And then I think 6 people became 10, and then 10 became 12, and eventually I think it was 13 before we ran out of chairs. I remember once we had the emergency stool out. We had the little fold up crappy little computer chair, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
And then I think, was it Andy came in at the end and we said, you're just going to have to stand. There are no more chairs left.
That last person in has to stand in.
It was. So that was the moment that I think we realized, yeah, this works. We are helping people here. We are making a difference. So we moved out of my kitchen and we moved to a local pub, and we had it became a proper thing, I think then. And that's the key thing, is it became, we did it as a little bit of let's help people out. And then one of the people around the room said, you should write a book. I wonder about that. Some of the takeaways from kind of 2016 there. So you can build to sell without actually selling. I quite often recommend Built to Sell by John Warlow. Great book, terrible narration. I don't know what it is. It's not like Michael Michailowicz. I can't stand his narration either. But Built to Sell is a fantastic book that the first time I listened to it on Audible was brilliant. Second time I went to listen to it, and I don't know what it is, but there's something about the narrator. He's got a tick of some kind that the minute I heard it, I was like, I can't listen to this. So I ended up buying the physical book and reading it instead. Much, much better.
And I think no matter whereabouts you're on your journey, I know lots of people who are starting out in business and stuff. This is a good place to go when you're building your business. Always have that in mind, because whatever you're doing, you're putting your systems and your processes all into place and things. That's going to you'll end up with a product that you could sell. You probably never will, but you could sell. It's all packaged up, and actually, like John and I weren't required in our business anymore because we got it all into a position where it could run itself, and it did do. That's the situation which you want to kind of do and run your business from, because it makes life a lot easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It gives you the option to leave if you want to, and it gives you the option to step away if you want to. So let's say, for example, you wanted to write a book, then you could step away and write a book. The other thing from this period, accountability. It really is key. Every business owner that I have ever met talks a good game. But if you chat to them like 6 months later, they've made no progress. They've just not done what they said they were going to do. That's obviously why we've made accountability such a big part of 1% Club. It's no accident. If you listen to every single guest from the 1% Club that we've had on this podcast, I think just about every single one of them mentions accountability at some point. That is no accident, is it?
No, totally. I mean, there are some that don't know the direction they want to take and all of that kind of stuff. But actually, once those that do know where they're going to go always say, I just need to be told how I'm making sure that I keep moving along that track, and I need to keep going on that, and I need to be, as you say, held accountable for that, really. Exactly. As I say, there's elements that don't know quite what's the best thing to do, what's their one thing, and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, generally speaking, it's that accountability which is the important bit, which everybody needs.
It is, definitely. So 2017, we launched this podcast. I think we actually started recording it December 2016, but by the magic of podcast world, nobody else knew about it until January 2017. We also had, obviously, the book launch, Big Ideas for Small Businesses. So what a fantastic year it was. Apart from our sports betting business, 2017 was actually our Annulus Horribilis. I had no idea if I pronounced that correctly.
Correctly.
Might be correctly, I don't know. But it was probably the worst year we've had in the sports betting business. And this is, remember, the year after we were told, yeah, you can exit for £2 million. We ended up losing our website. We had a brand new website designed and delivered. And then we were told we had to throw it out because there was new compliance rules and all sorts. We lost our A player. Literally, he left with a day's notice. And we lost $100,000 a year revenue stream from one of our third-party partners. They just literally go, that was 30 days notice. Dear partner, we're taking $100,000 a year off your bottom line. Ooh, ouch.
Wasn't that also the year of the Facebook kind of bidding us off as well? Was that about then as well, didn't it?
No, I think Facebook was the year before.
Was it? Okay.
I'd even forgotten about that.
After Google started hating us, Facebook started hating us too.
I think that's one of the things that is becoming a recurring theme here is these black swan events. And if you're not familiar with the term black swan, it is kind of this very rare thing that could kill you, but you can't prepare for it. There is no warning that it's going to happen. Coronavirus is probably a good example of that, where it just comes up out of nowhere and just shuts down everyday life. And there's nothing, if you were to go back to 2018, very few people were saying, oh, don't forget to prepare for a possible global pandemic, which is going to shut the world down. Really? Whoa, you'd be conspiracy theorist if you said that, wouldn't you? But what you can do, you can't prepare for these black swan events, but you can build a moat that protects you. And that's, again, for those eagle-eyed Warren Buffett references there. There's another one for you. When Google kicked us off, we had the moat of a mailing list. We had the moat of a community there. And we had it in our Annus Horribilis, where we might have lost our website, but we still had website visitors. We might have lost our A player, but we still had a contact we could go to. We might have lost $100,000 a year off our revenue stream, but we also had 7 or 9 or 20 other revenue streams all coming in. So we had the moat there. The other key takeaway for me from 2017, obviously, is the year we launched the podcast. 1% Club launched properly as a thing. Then Big Ideas launched then. None of this stuff is done for the money. And I think that's possibly what sets us apart from many of the other kind of gurus out there. We're not gurus, trust me. I think if you've learned one thing from this podcast, it's like, we have made a lot of mistakes. We're not some perfect teethed guru in a sharp suit here. We've said from day one, look, everything we're doing with the podcast, with books, with the coaching club, everything, we're doing this to scratch an itch. We're doing it to pay it forward. Like Clark and Jason helped me back in 2000, like Nigel helped me in 2012 and 2013, to genuinely help small business owners, just like my mentors helped me. The day we stop enjoying doing this and this becomes a job, well, we'll just shut it down and we'll go back to focusing on our main businesses. That's not why we're doing it. We're doing it because we love it. And that's why we started it in 2017 was, well, this business doesn't need us anymore. What do we want to do? We want to pay it forward. We want to help small business owners. That's why we do it. So 2018, we hired an MD in 2018. I know 2 years ago. That's, wow. We had another Black Swan event.
We did.
In the sports betting business, again, losing another $100,000 a year from the bottom line, which was a bit of a baptism of fire for our new MD, because I think she started in July and the Black Swan thing happened in October. So it's like, right, welcome to you. You've successfully passed your induction. Oh, by the way, can you find us an extra $100,000 a year, please? And we did a few angel investments in 2018 as well.
We did, yeah.
Again, looking to help small business owners. Now, the only one of those we're still involved with is 360 Mortgages. And I can't remember the number, but you can listen to an episode of the podcast that we did with David and Tom from 360 Mortgages. So it's worthwhile having a listen to that. Takeaways from 2018. I've mentioned Black Swans again. And when you have as many Black Swans as I've gone through, I started this business in the height of the dot-com bubble crash in 2000. We've had 9/11. We had Google shutting down gambling pay-per-click in 2004. £59,000 repair bill for my offices in 2007. We had the global financial crisis. Sorry, there's no money left in 2008. We had Google whipping the rug out underneath us again in 2012. Facebook, I'd forgotten. Facebook ads. We were spending $10,000 a month on Facebook ads and it was insanely profitable. And then they shut our account down. Dear advertiser.
And took away 120,000 of our fans that signed up to our page.
Yep. When you have as many Black Swans as that over a 20-year career, you soon learn two things. Number one, Black Swan events will happen. You can't say, well, it's all going to be plain sailing all the way. Black Swan events are going to happen. And the second thing I think I've learned from it is I will adapt and evolve. I mean, I said very early in this podcast that the business I had, that I started full-time at the start of 2002, was not the same business I started in August 2000. The business I've got in August 2020 bears absolutely no resemblance to the business I had 5 years ago, let alone 20.
Yeah.
So constant adaptation, evolution. Again, it comes from working with mentors as well, people who've been there. You've got to change. The only constant is change, isn't it?
Absolutely.
The other takeaway from 2018 is we are no longer actively doing angel investments at the moment. We keep our eye out, shall we say. If we do go back there, we've learned a lot from the angel investments we did in 2018. And if we do more investments, they will be more like Dave and Tom from 360 Mortgages. Those guys tick all the boxes for us in terms of an investment now. It's their main business. It's their main focus. I think focus again comes into it. All the other ones we did were they were side hustles or side projects. So there'll be no more spin-offs. There'll be no more joint ventures. There'll be no more, hey, well, we could do something together alongside my existing business. No, we want people who are going to focus on their business and who we can help them to focus on their business. And we can just refine their focus. We can act as mentors. And that's if we go back to angel investments. We may do, we may not. But if we do, that's certainly a big learn from that period.
A lot more clarity in what we're looking for from our potential partners if we were to do so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Go 2019. We are very nearly
1 year away.
The present. This is like, oh my God, look at the fashion we had then. Can you believe the haircuts? No, actually, the 2020 haircuts are definitely worse. So 2019, we sacked our MD. So we hired our MD in 2018. We ended up losing her in 2019 with a couple of other people as well. We ended up, again, scaling back, getting a little bit lean again. And we kind of stepped back into the day-to-day operations. So was it 2016, we identified that, we are not needed so much in the day-to-day. 2018, we very much walked away from the day-to-day operations. And then the very next year, was it the Godfather quote? They just sucked me back in. But it was getting lean again and started doing the things that we know work. I think when you hire other people, they've got their own ideas of what works and what doesn't. And I think we know, 19 years experience at this point, we know what works and don't we?
Yeah.
So
we're not letting our ego get carried away with us.
Sorry?
We're not letting our ego get carried away with us.
No, exactly. The ego is the biggest overhead, isn't it?
It is, mate.
Oh, dear. So key takeaways from 2019. I think it's that even after 20 years or 19 years at this point, we are still making mistakes. We're still getting stuff wrong and we're still failing. But crucially, we are learning from those mistakes and we're learning a lot quicker from those mistakes. We're no longer making the same mistake for 18 months and then thinking, oh shit, we better do something about this mistake now. We let it ride. We monitor it. No, it's not right. Rip it off. Mm-hmm. Also, before you go chasing shiny new objects, make sure that you're doing the key things that you know work routinely. Ding. First, we've talked before anyway about our Heinz 57 things in our business that need to happen in order for that business to thrive. And those things weren't happening in 2018. So 2019, we came back in. First job I did was make sure that the Heinz 57 is being followed. Oh, look at that. The numbers are going in the right direction. What do you know? Unfortunately, we're no longer able to chase the shiny new objects. But what we are doing is making money again. And that's what we're here to do. Again, why not get someone to actually hold you accountable to that? Create a checklist of the stuff that you know needs to do. Hold yourself accountable if you're that type of person. And welcome in 2020. So what's happened in 2020? There's not really been anything notable to talk about in terms of global events or anything like that, is there?
No. I mean, I remember sitting down with our accountant and it's like, oh yeah, the numbers are going right. Everything's fine. A year like this, and this will be, we'll be in the position where we want it to be for the business. It'll be all plain sailing.
Yeah, I think plain sailing was the exact term we used. Just a couple of months. I think we said a couple of months of plain sailing, and we are golden. We're looking really good. If I use that term with the sports betting business, I also use the exact same term with one of my property investments, where we met up. I think it was in January, and I said, everything was looking all right. I said, do you know what? We just need a year of plain sailing, and we're looking really, really good. And it was looking pretty plain sailing up until middle of March. Something happened then, yeah. But I mean, looking at obviously we're recording this in July. It's going out in August as our summer special. We have taken the opportunity of lockdown and everything like that to to build the long-term assets that are going to serve us for years to come. So that's kind of one of the takeaways, I think, for me, is thinking long-term. And we've just whizzed through over the last nearly 2 hours, over the last 20 years. But I mean, to be fair, two hours is not bad for 20 years worth of insights. And I'm now planning for the next 20 years. I don't think in 2000 I was planning for 20 years, which is just as well, because I would have been building everything on Alta Vista for dial-up internet, no videos or anything like that. Very text-heavy websites, no images. But I mean, for me, I think 2020 actually sums up the last 20 years. If you look at it, 2020 as a whole, not just what's happened coronavirus, because everyone will think 2020 is the year of coronavirus. We've all forgotten the bushfires in Australia that happened in January, and we're like, that was nothing. Yeah. But for me, yeah, it does sum up the whole 20 years. There will be good times and there'll be bad times. And often you can't control what happens. All you can control is how you react and how you respond. Now, over the last 20 years, I've become better at marketing. I've become better at growing businesses. I've become a better coach, a better mentor, a better leader. But whilst I've got better at all those things, and it's not difficult, because 20 years ago, remember, I knew nothing about marketing, nothing about growing businesses, nothing about coaching, mentoring, or leading people whatsoever. I knew absolutely nothing. So it's not hard to me to say I've become better, but I have worked at becoming better. But I think what I've become expert at is adapting, is just changing, pivoting, if you want to use a buzzword from 2020. Because, yeah, the business I own today bears absolutely no resemblance whatsoever to the one that I started in August 2000. And will it look anything like this in August 2040? I very much doubt it. It will be completely different. Will it look anything like this in 2 years' time? I think it will look quite different in 2 years. It's already going to look quite different now compared to 12 months ago. And so many businesses watching or listening to this will be exactly the same, that 2020 for you will be the year things changed, the year you changed your model considerably. But 2020 doesn't need to be the year of the pivot. Every year can be the year of the adaptation. You should always adapt to what's going on, what's happening around you. Don't wait for a global pandemic, because it's all going to look very, very different a year from now, let alone kind of 20 years from now. Who knows what we're going to look like 20 years from now? Do you remember, was that a couple of years ago?
I think I might look like this 20 years ago. I don't think I've changed an awful lot.
I think a bit more grey around the sides now.
Okay, a little bit of grey hair. That's true.
But we don't really know what we looked like 20 years ago, because 20 years ago, photography was that bad that all we've got are these little grainy actual photos or stuff we took on a clamshell phone.
Yeah.
But one thing's for sure, over the next 20 years, look, we are going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to learn. I'm still going to be the normal bloke from Plymouth who just learns stuff, tests it out in my own businesses, and then shares it with you. I've no idea what that is going to look like in 2021, let alone 2040. But I don't know about you. I just can't wait to find out.
Exciting.
Still loving it.
It is exciting. No, it is all very exciting.
It is. And I honestly can't believe it's been 20 years.
Right.
It's weird as well, because your perception of time changes, I think, because if I think now 2020, and I think back to, for example, 2008, when obviously we started Free Rakes and Tips and we had the global financial crisis, that's a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. And then if I think from 2008 to 2000, that was a really long period of time. Yeah. That was like, President Clinton was in charge at the White House then, and there was the dot-com bubble, and then we had 9/11, and then all this stuff happened, and then Tony Blair came and went, and Gordon Brown came in, and then we had so much happened. It was a really long period of time, those 8 years. And 12 years since, that's just flown by.
It's because you're getting older, mate.
It is because you're getting older, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll be doing this in 20 years' time, going, do you remember then?
Anyway, we better wrap up.
I'll be going, no, I won't.
We better wrap up, mate, because otherwise people will think we'll still be bloody talking in 20 years' time.
Oh, Ken Dodds. That's what I do.
Encore. Anyone fancy an encore? No, we've all got a taxi booked. Do you want to get home? Got to pay the babysitter another £10 otherwise. Oh dear, hope that's found you useful. Hope that's been useful for you and you found it useful. Professional copywriter, best-selling author.
Can't say anything.
Oh dear, that's the highlight of my last 20 years, that is. We'll see you next month, guys, for a rather more normal episode of the ALB podcast. Have a great summer. Keep washing those hands. We'll see you soon.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Bye-bye.
So there we are, another episode in the can. How was it for you? Please let us know. However you listen to these podcasts, please leave a review on that platform. Let us know what we can do better, what you like, what you don't like, and how we can improve to make this show even better for you. We'll see you next time.